Have you noticed your child getting worried about current events? Are you noticing differences in your child's mood after they've seen the news? Hi, I'm Kristin from the Understood team. Welcome to From Our Family to Yours, where we share relatable stories and helpful advice from community members like you. This week's story revolves around current events and how it impacts a child's mood. It comes from community member Sari in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She writes, Jocelyn has ADHD, so she never stops thinking about the things that are important to her. And she worries about things more than the average kid. She asks a lot of questions about things she wants to understand. She's bright and aware of not just the pandemic, but all the racial injustices going on. The riots in Minneapolis over George Floyd were just 5 minutes from our house. We could hear everything. My daughter's mood has been affected. At times, she appears very sad, scared, concerned for the future of our country, and, as minorities, for the safety of herself and her friends. Every time there is a new killing, she asks me, why can't everyone be treated the same when we are all equal? It makes her angry. It disrupts her sleep. And sometimes she stays up all night worrying. Thank you for sharing, Sari. It can be really difficult for parents to understand or to realize that their children are impacted by what's going on around them and what they see and hear on the news or in adults' conversations. When kids have learning differences in particular, they may have difficulty processing the information that they are receiving from the environment, and they may become even more upset or agitated than you would typically expect. As the parent of a 4-year-old, I know that I have also witnessed my child experiencing some symptoms of dysregulation or feelings of negative mood based on information that he's seen on the news when I didn't even know that he was aware of what's going on. So I think it's really important that as parents, we make sure that we are aware that our kids are watching and that we try to give them developmentally appropriate explanations about the things that are going on, and that we let the kids know that these things are also things that are difficult for us, and we're trying our best to manage them. Let's see what else she has to say. Jocelyn helped explain things to her sisters and tried to make sure they understood, with George Floyd, the fact that it was because he was Black, and that even though we don't feel negatively towards Black people, a lot of people treat them differently. We've offered an open dialogue for whenever our daughters have questions or just want to vent their frustrations with the news they see. We also support any action they want to take to express their feelings, whether it's posting a TikTok or visiting a memorial site and walking up and down Lake Street after the fires to see all the destruction. We even volunteered for Jocelyn's birthday to go help paint murals for a business that was burnt down and had to rebuild. They felt so good being involved in something positive. Sari, I love how both you and Jocelyn took these challenging times and really processed what was going on and tried to find ways to move forward. It's nice for older children to be able to give their younger siblings or siblings developmentally appropriate information about what's been going on, especially when it comes to racial injustice. The fact that Jocelyn was able to acknowledge that George Floyd was killed because he was Black was a major step and was very important information for her sisters to know. One of the things that you all did, which was really nice, was that you moved things forward. You didn't have control over the devastation that occurred in Minneapolis, or you didn't have control over George Floyd's death, but what you did have control over was trying to help someone else, trying to spread a message of positivity. Going and spending Jocelyn's birthday painting murals at a business that had been exposed to destruction was a positive way to rebuild the community. Continuing to acknowledge that specific communities are treated unfairly was another way to move things forward and to try to make something positive from a time that has been really difficult for us all. As parents of Black, brown, and underrepresented children, It's really important that we send our kids positive messages of racial socialization or positive messages about their cultures of origin and the ethnic groups that they are members of. Kids right now are being exposed to a lot of negative content, and they may internalize that information and then feel badly about themselves. We want to uplift our children and provide them with positive messages and let them know that they have our support, and point out to them as many of the wonderful things about your cultural group membership as possible, so that they know that what they see on the news is not reflective of who they are. For white parents, it's really important that you teach your children to have radical empathy. So we may not necessarily understand everything about other people, and it might be difficult to see other people's perspectives, but it's extremely important that we try. One of the ways that we try is that we acknowledge that the systems that those people have lived in or been impacted by have been unjust or have not been fair. And for that reason, their experience of the world may be very different than our experience. And once we're able to acknowledge that, then we do something to help others. And we're not doing this from a place of sympathy. We're doing this from a place of empathy. We are all human beings, and we all have shared experiences. And it's important that when we see one group suffering, that we try to do something to help out. If you've noticed your child being affected by current events, let us know in the comments below. And check out the rest of the videos in this series for more helpful advice and stories from the understood community. Until next time, this has been From Our Family to Yours. Thanks for watching.